In 1989, Bob Lazar revealed a mysterious concept that he learned from reading an extremely classified document during his time at Area 51 S4. The document was as thick as a Bible, and to Bob's surprise, it was wholly dedicated to the topic of religion. But it didn't refer to us as children of God, divine beings, or even imperfect creatures. It referred to us as containers. But containers for what?
Extremely classified document dealing with religion, and it's about that thing. Period. But why would there be any classified material dealing with religion?
I want to go back to the religion thing. I want you to say it.
Oh, come on, that's so weird. That's a lie.
I'm not asking you to say what you believe to be a fact. I'm asking you to say what you read in a report that is distributed at what may be the most top secret facility in the world. Okay. All right.
All right, I'll say it. It's so far out.
All right. Your objection has been noted.
Okay.
What does it say?
That we're containers. That's how supposedly the aliens look at us. That we are nothing but containers.
Containers of?
Containers. Maybe containers of souls. You can come up with whatever theory you want, but we're containers, and that's how we're mentioned in the documents. That religion was specifically created, so we have some rules and regulations for the sole purpose of not damaging the containers.
The souls. Meaning,
well, the souls or the bodies, whatever. Right? That's
meaning like we're containers for souls that they're going to use at some other point.
Right.
The documents describe human beings in a way that has been staggering ufologists for decades. Is the cold and chilling description of containers a sign of malevolent intent? Or is it just another way of saying what traditional religions have been teaching all along? That we are, in fact, vessels for some type of divine spark. That's what I'm talking about. Top secret documents from Area 51 talking about how extraterrestrials view us as containers. But not only that ETs also created a religion so that the humans don't damage the containers. Does it get any better than this? If this doesn't have Planetary HQ written all over it, then I don't know what does. Grab your air tanks, because we're about to dive deep, folks. Let's get into it. Planetary HQ, baby. Since I was a toddler ufologist, I've heard of the Bob Lazar story. I actually have his autograph right behind me on that poster. Big shout out to Bob, Jeremy Corbell, and George Knapp. Really appreciate the love. The Lazar story has intrigued many over the decades, has inspired numerous generations to seek the truth behind the extraterrestrial phenomena. From S4, Element 115, the sports model, advanced security systems, all the way to possibly seeing an alien gray. No part of the story gets more chilling than when he was briefed on how the ETs view humans, that they simply view us as containers, and that they created human religion as a system to ensure that the containers don't get damaged. If you go to the far corners of the internet, such as Reddit or 4chan, you will hear this story, but painted in a negative and fearful light. And even I have to admit myself that the word containers sounds a little sterile and a bit like we may be talking more about cattle and less about children of God. But is that really the right way to perceive the situation? Chapter 1. Humans are containers. Since before the written word was invented, the human species has had religion. Religion has taken many different forms and many different manifestations over time, and the idea of a body being a vessel or a type of container is not a new and revelatory concept that the prophet Lazar revealed to us in 1989. Various religions and cultures were teaching this very same idea all over the world at one point or another, and they talk about it in a much more beautiful and inspiring way than does the Department of Defense. Or should I say, the Department of War. But let's be real. Does the military-industrial complex really ever produce a field manual or a document that uses spiritual or religious terminology? Or does it make much more sense that a top-secret, unacknowledged, black-budget UFO program would use sterile or cold scientific terminology to describe what would otherwise be known as spiritual phenomena. Just the very use of the word container implies that there is more than just this physical reality, and that the ETs are very aware of this other dimension. To me, this in itself reveals something more about the true nature of cosmic reality. Robert Monroe, the creator of the Monroe Institute, in 1971 wrote a book named Journey Out of the Body, which popularized the term out-of-body experience. Now get your tinfoil hat on tight. While he was in the out-of-body state, he claimed to have seen reptilian-like beings who were feeding off negative energy and negative thought forms that were emanating from people's souls, and that this energy he termed loosh. If you were ever wondering why all of the QAnon people talk about interdimensional shape-shifting reptilians who have infiltrated the United States government and media to cultivate negative energy in society so that they can harvest it all and feed off of it, usually referred to as loosh, this is where that ideology came from, directly from the mouth of the famous Robert Monroe. Now, if we pull on the thread of simulation theory, that everything is a simulation, my body is not really real, and I am really just a line of code or a self-conscious algorithm. And in a sense, my body is just an avatar for my personality algorithm. My avatar would just then be a temporary container for my personality code algorithm during this level of the game. And once I exit this sim, our personality code will exist back in the true matrix, awaiting for another simulation experience in a different type of container. Will it be a robotic container? I don't know. Zecharia Sitchin and Eric von Daniken proposed that the pantheon of gods in ancient Mesopotamia, Egypt, and in the Bible were actually ETs, sparking the ancient alien hypothesis in science and popular culture. They went so far as to say that not only are we containers, but that our containers are a hybrid fusion of human and alien DNA. Trippy, huh? Lazar's claims that we've been genetically manipulated by ETs 65 times in the past matches up almost perfectly with Sitchin's Anunnaki story. And just a reminder, if you like what you're hearing so far, don't forget to hit that like button so we can get this information to the front page, and shoulder lean against that subscribe button so you are up to date with all the celestial broadcasts, not plowing ahead. In Christianity, the body is viewed as a vessel, a container for the Holy Spirit, and a conduit for God's will and purpose in the world. This metaphor emphasizes the body's role as a container for the divine presence within a believer, making it sacred and deserving of honor, purity, and careful stewardship for expressing God's will on earth, rather than being treated as a mere material object or disposable shell. Here's some biblical backing. 2 Corinthians 4:7. We have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellence of power may be of God and not of us. This verse highlights how our bodies are viewed as earthly vessels that hold the presence of God within. 1 Thessalonians 4:3 and 4. Paul uses the term vessel to instruct believers to control their bodies in a way that is holy and honorable. For it is God's will that you should be holy. You must abstain from all sexual immorality. Each of you to know how to win mastery over his own vessel in holiness and honor. Christianity not only uses the word vessel, but it also uses the word temple to describe the physical body. A more elegant choice than the word container, in my opinion, but same idea nonetheless. Paul said in 1 Corinthians 6:19 and 20, "Do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have from God? Are you not your own? For you were bought with a price, so glorify God in your body." This verse underscores that the body, as the vessel, is not one's own, but belongs to God and should be used to honor him. And the big dog, the original gangsta, JC the cosmic OG, Jesus himself referred to the body as a temple, when speaking with the Jewish leaders in front of the masses, and even declared that, if you destroy this temple, I will resurrect it in 3 days. Pretty heavy, huh? Hinduism and Buddhism teach about reincarnation, when the human spirit leaves the body to go inhabit a new one. Whether it's on this planet or a different planet is a totally different conversation. Gnostic texts view the body as a prison or tomb for the divine spirit, that the body is an evil entity of the material world that the enlightened soul must escape. This perspective stems from a dualistic cosmology in which matter is seen as inherently corrupt and spirit as inherently good. Hermetic and Kabbalistic teachings also speak of our bodies as vessels, and numerous other esoteric and occult traditions believe that our bodies can be inhabited by negative entities, and that bodily diseases are actually caused by these invisible parasites that attach to the energy in our vessel. Definitely lining up with the concept of spirit possession. Cue the Exorcist theme. In episode number 2028 of the Joe Rogan podcast, Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp discuss how John Lear said that ETs view our bodies as containers, and that our souls are being aged like fine wine, matured as if it was a commodity. Now, this really matches up with the concept of the harvest from the cult classic The Law of One and other esoteric texts. The texts state that the cosmos was created to generate heroic and uniquely creative and elegant souls through trial and error in the physical dimension in order to add to the cosmic hall of fame, and that this process is somewhat routine. Routine in the sense that celestial beings go from planet to planet, resurrecting souls after they die. But the souls they see as having the most value are the ones that generate the highest character traits and do the most good for all, because those souls are the most valuable for the cosmic administration. Some people call this the harvest, which can sometimes sound scary, but I personally like to view it as a planetary audition for the best job ever, a cosmic career in the galactic forces of light, or in other words, Starfleet pretty much. Starseed theory suggests that some human beings who are currently alive on Earth are actually souls that were sent here from different star systems in order to help fix the planet because our planet is currently experiencing disharmony. That these souls in different star systems pick their Earth parents and incarnate through the normal birth process. The catch here is that they must mind wipe upon incarnation. The memories of their lives in other star systems gets temporarily erased at the moment of birth. The theory claims that based on your spiritual progress on Earth, these past lives can be accessed, but that's for a totally different episode. But essentially, starseed theory also confirms that our bodies are nothing more than just temporary vehicles. The Keys of Enoch, written by Dr. J.J. Hurtak in 1973, states that the human body is no more than a biotransducer subsystem for the higher intelligence to indwell you, and that a biotransducer subsystem is the human embodiment as a biological vessel used to process the thought forms of advanced mental and spiritual intelligence so that transactional data can transform realities on the human plane. The human body is a biological device for converting energy from one form to another. That's pretty dope. Shout out to JJ, shout out to Desiree. I personally love this explanation because I feel like it's saying the same thing, but in much finer detail. Anyone can say a car drives down the road, but few people can actually explain to you in detail about the engine and mechanisms that actually make the car go down the road. The difference in the two is drastic, and I feel like the Keys of Enoch is light years ahead of the game when it comes to explaining the actual mechanisms behind these cosmic processes. If you haven't read it already, I strongly suggest doing so. The Urantia Book, aka the Alien Bible, what I like to joke around and call the most detailed classification of extraterrestrial races known to mankind, states that our physical bodies were created by a benevolent, ancient, cosmic star race, who sent representatives to mate with us, altering our genetics, and that our bodies are in fact divine tabernacles for a literal fragment of the center of the cosmos, which is extremely important because not all beings in the cosmos have a container with the ability to hold such a strong fragment from the source of the entire universe. Chapter 2. So who created the containers? So you're not going to believe this, but a long, long time ago, in a galaxy far, far, far away. No, I'm just kidding. But going back to ancient Mesopotamia, they believed in the creator gods called the Anunnaki, which I'm sure most of you are aware of. They lived on a planet called Nibiru that was on the outskirts of our solar system that only got close to Earth every couple millennia. A little before the last time they got close, they realized that their planet's ecosystem was doing really bad. There was a lot of cosmic radiation that was leaking through their atmosphere, and they needed a ton of gold in order to fix the problem. Convenient story, right? Crappy thing is, they didn't have enough gold on Nibiru. They're running out. So they scanned the solar system, and they figured out that Earth has plenty of gold. So they decided to come here on their next closest transit. But when they came here, they established a city called Eden, but they didn't want to lift a finger. So they had to create some type of slave race who was adapted to the planet that could do the heavy lifting and mine the gold for them. So they chose to genetically modify a pre-existing animal on the planet. And guess what they chose? The ape, of course. So they mix some of their DNA with the ape DNA, and out comes Homo sapien. Now I've heard that story ever since I was a wee lad, and it has a special place in my heart. But essentially it's saying that our containers or our vessels or our physical bodies are nothing more than a byproduct of creating a slave race? And I don't know how much I subscribe to that viewpoint, but plowing ahead. In Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, they believe in the book of Genesis, the first book of the Bible, the 6-day creation story that everybody knows, with the creation of Adam and Eve as the first two humans, with Adam being the first human, then Eve being created from Adam's rib, and then God giving them dominion over the planet and the animals. Essentially, our containers, vessels, our bodies are a direct creation from God. But the same part of the Bible also mentions how the sons of God mated with the daughters of men to create the Nephilim and the mighty men of old. So even the Bible does acknowledge that our vessels do have some alien hybrid genetics involved. Now, everybody remembers the Egyptian creation story of humanity, that in the beginning, the OG god Atum is lonely. So he creates two kids named Shu and Tefnut. Now, these two kids, Shu and Tefnut, are like the first two created super high celestial beings. Now, the cosmos is a huge, mysterious playscape, and they're kids, so naturally, they want to go explore. They end up leaving their father, Atum, at home, and they go exploring for a long time. The great god father, Atum, actually starts to get kind of sad that he's lonely, and he starts wondering where his kids are. So he sends out his Eye of Horus to go scour the universe and find his two kids. His messenger, the Eye of Horus, actually ends up finding the two kids and leading them back to Father Atum. And when Atum sees them arriving, he cries tears of joy. And these tears actually turn into humanity. So according to Egyptian mythology, our vessels, our containers, are a direct byproduct of God's tears, but tears of joy. So not in a sad way. I need your attention, everybody. This just in. The New Jersey drones are now over New York, LA, and every major capital on the face of planet Earth. They keep repeating a message over the 6 gigahertz frequency band, and it keeps saying, Planetary HQ has cosmic garments for your physical mechanism. In other words, we got that drip. Straight from the Galactic Federation wardrobe, these tees vibrate at the frequency of chill. Ribbed knit collars lovingly hug your neck chakra, preventing collar droop across dimensions. Tapered shoulders enhance your interstellar silhouette, perfect for Earth missions and beyond. Dual side seams stabilize your style, ensuring your energy stays aligned even when encountering planetary turbulence. Crafted from 100% classified heirloom combed and ring-spun cotton, this featherlight fabric breathes like you're cruising through the astral plane. Ideal for layering beneath your space cloak or relaxing at your Earth base. The tailored retail fit transitions seamlessly from casual Earthling mode to I've got crystals in my pocket and I ain't from here chic, making it essential apparel for your rigorous interdimensional journey. So check out them shirts. We got a bunch of different colors. Link is in the description. Your contributions directly support spiritual operations on the front line in the battle for truth, beauty, and righteousness. With your help, we can help change the face of planet Earth, and we can look fly while doing it. Okay, now that we can fund the Black Budget Anti-Grav program, let's get back to the show. The zoo hypothesis. The zoo hypothesis was proposed by MIT radio astronomer John Allen Ball in 1973. In his paper titled The Zoo Hypothesis, published in the journal Icarus, Ball suggests that advanced alien civilizations exist and are aware of humanity, but deliberately avoid contact to allow Earth to develop naturally, effectively placing our planet in a cosmic zoo. Think of the Prime Directive in Star Trek. Key aspects of the zoo hypothesis. Galactic quarantine. Advanced alien species have established a hands-off policy for Earth, treating it as a protected or undeveloped region of space. Again, think of the Prime Directive from Star Trek, but I would also like to introduce a new concept from the Keys of Enoch, written by J.J. Hurtak in 1973. Dr. Hurtak claims that our sector of the cosmos is actually a biological testing ground for high celestial entities. Dr. Hurtak had direct contact with an Earth mortal who had graduated to become a celestial personality. This mortal was known as Enoch while he was alive on Earth, and he was mentioned in the Bible. Observational philosophy. These civilizations observe Earth without interference, akin to how humans observe animals in the zoo, allowing for the natural evolution of human society and culture. Response to the Fermi paradox. The hypothesis was presented as a possible solution to the Fermi paradox, the contradiction between the high probability of extraterrestrial life and the lack of evidence for its existence. Humanity's destiny. By not interfering, advanced civilizations may value the diversity of life and respect Earth's right to determine its own evolutionary path. According to modern biology, our physical body is actually generated from a molecule called DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. You've probably seen pictures of this, the two strands that spiral upwards that are connected in the center to make like a little spiral ladder. We call this shape a double helix, and it's responsible for programming every cell in your body. It was first discovered in 1953 by scientists James Watson and Francis Crick, and they won the Nobel Prize for it. Not many people know this, but after their rigorous research, both Watson and Crick came to the conclusion that there is no way that the human DNA double helix could have evolved on planet Earth, that it is way too complex for it to have evolved here, that the Earth is way too young, as in there wasn't enough time on our planet for it to evolve the complexity that our current DNA has. Therefore, our DNA must be from a different, more ancient star system. Now, this just isn't some crazy UFO YouTuber pulling some crap out of his butt. This is coming from the mouth of a Nobel Prize winning discoverer of the human DNA double helix. It gets better. Have you guys ever heard of the theory of directed panspermia? Where the first bacteria cell that kickstarted all of human evolution on planet Earth actually hitched a ride on a comet or a meteor that struck the surface of the planet? And that this bacteria cell is from an older sector of the cosmos and that's what kickstarted Darwinian evolution up to modern Homo sapien. That is the normal theory of panspermia. I like it a lot, and when I first heard it, I was like, ooh, that's the one. But Crick himself, one of the discoverers of DNA, actually published a paper that said not only is it panspermia, but it's actually directed panspermia, as in an extraterrestrial intelligence actually brought this life plasm to our planet for the sake of seeding it. He even goes on to outline the size of an ET spacecraft and the fuel it would take to get from the nearest star system and the different types of interstellar obstacles that will be needed to overcome in order to bring life or a bacteria cell to planet Earth for the sake of generating the human species. We won't go over the entire paper now, but the link will be in the description. When I first read this scientific paper by the Nobel Prize discoverer of DNA, I got super excited because this lines up directly with the Urantia Book. It's almost as if they read the Urantia Book themselves. The book says that we were seeded on planet Earth via directed panspermia as part of a divine biological experiment to create a new type of physical avatar for special cosmic service. The human species was supposed to be the new sports model of biophysical vehicles in the cosmos. Apparently, our vessels and what they contain within is so valuable that a high celestial being tried to steal our planet for himself 250,000 years ago. You might know that celestial being by the name of Lucifer. You want to know more about the Lucifer story? Check out the intergalactic untold story of the Lucifer Rebellion on our channel. We dissect the cosmic event with a fine-tooth comb, but for this video, we'll focus on the containers. Life does not spontaneously appear in the universes. The life carriers must initiate it on the barren planets. They are the carriers, the disseminators, and the guardians of life on the worlds of space. All life of the order and forms known on Earth arises from these life carriers, though not all forms of planetary life are existent on Earth. Wow, so there's a lot more life forms out there not on Earth. The core of life carriers commissioned to plant life upon a new world usually consists of 100 senior carriers, 100 assistants, and 1,000 custodians. The life carriers often carry actual life plasm with them to a new world, but not always. They sometimes organize the life patterns after arriving on the planet of assignment in accordance with formulas previously approved for a new adventure in life establishment. Such was the origin of the planetary life on Earth. When, in accordance with approved formulas, the physical patterns have been provided, then do the life carriers catalyze this lifeless material, imparting through their persons the vital spirit spark, and forthwith do the inert patterns become living matter, or primordial goo and lightning strike. 550 million years ago, the life carrier core returned to Earth. In cooperation with spiritual powers and superphysical forces, we organized and initiated the original life powers of this world and planted them in the hospitable waters of the realm. All planetary life, aside from extraplanetary personalities, down to the days of the Anunnaki and the planetary prince, had its origin in these three original and identical simultaneous marine life implantations. These three life implantations have been designated as the Central or Eurasian African, the Eastern or Australasian, and the Western, the Greenland and the Americas. The Urantia Book captivates my attention because not only does it speak in depth about the actual constitution of our containers, it even goes into extreme detail, answering the mysterious question of, what are the containers actually holding? Chapter 3. What's inside the containers? The Urantia Book has many names for the divine fragment within, such as the pilot light, the mystery monitor, the higher self, and the legendary thought adjuster. I love the term thought adjuster because it gives a very intimate and personal connection to the divine source. and it implies that it's always trying to adjust your thoughts to become a better person and to help others hit their potential. Okay, so now I'm going to read some passages from the Urantia book. Urantia actually means earth, so it's the earth book. And every time you hear thought adjuster or adjuster, think divine fragment within. Okay, so thought adjuster or adjuster equals divine fragment. Got it? Good. Adjusters should not be thought of as living in the material brains of human beings. They are not organic parts of the physical creatures of the realms. The thought adjuster may more properly be envisaged as indwelling in the mortal mind of man, rather than as existing within the confines of a single physical organ. And indirectly and unrecognized, the adjuster is constantly communicating with the human subject, especially during those sublime experiences of the worshipful contact of mind with spirit in the superconsciousness. I know we out here deep in the weeds in the cosmic jungle, but I do want to remind you guys to hit that like button, get us to the front page, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already to stay up to date with all your celestial broadcasts. Now back to the show. The thought adjuster is an absolute essence of an infinite being imprisoned within the mind of a finite creature, which, depending on the choosing of such a mortal, can eventually consummate this temporary union of God and man, and veritably actualize a new order of being for unending universe service. The adjuster is the divine universe reality, which factualizes the truth that God is man's father. The adjuster is man's infallible cosmic compass, always and unerringly pointing the soul Godward. Can you really realize the true significance of the adjuster's indwelling? Do you really fathom what it means to have an absolute fragment of the absolute and infinite deity, the universal Father, indwelling and fusing with your finite mortal natures? When mortal man fuses with an actual fragment of the existential cause of the total cosmos, no limit can ever be placed upon the destiny of such an unprecedented and unimaginable partnership. In eternity, man will be discovering not only the infinity of the objective deity, but also the unending potentiality of the subjective fragment of this same God. Always will the adjuster be revealing to the mortal personality the wonder of God, and never can this supernal revelation come to an end, for the adjuster is of God and as God to mortal man. Woo! Getting pumped up right now. Humanity has long believed that there is something growing within the human nature, something vital that is destined to endure beyond the short span of temporal life. Before man realized that his evolving soul was fathered by a divine spirit, it was thought to reside in different physical organs: the eye, the liver, the kidney, the heart, and later, the brain. The savage associated the soul with blood, breath, shadows, and with reflections of the self in water. In the conception of the Atman, the Hindu teachers really approximated an appreciation of the nature and presence of the adjuster, but they failed to distinguish the co-presence of the evolving and potentially immortal soul. The Chinese, however, recognized two aspects of a human being: the yang and the yin, the soul and the spirit. The Egyptians and many African tribes also believed in two factors, the ka and the ba. The soul was not usually believed to be pre-existent, only the spirit. The inhabitants of the Nile Valley believed that each favored individual had bestowed upon him at birth, or soon thereafter, a protecting spirit which they called the ka. They taught that this guardian remained with the mortal subject throughout life and passed before him into the future estate. On the walls of a temple at Luxor, where is depicted the birth of Amenhotep III, the little prince is pictured on the arm of the Nile god, and near him is another child, in appearance identical with the prince, which is the symbol of that entity which the Egyptians called the Ka. This sculpture was completed in the 15th century before Christ. The Ka was thought to be a superior spirit genius which desired to guide the associated mortal soul into the better paths of temporal living but more especially to influence the fortunes of the human subject in the hereafter. When an Egyptian of this period died, it was expected that his Ka would be waiting for him on the other side of the great river. At first, only kings were supposed to have Kas, but presently all righteous men were believed to possess them. One Egyptian ruler, speaking of the Ka within his heart, said, "I did not disregard its speech. I feared to transgress its guidance. I prospered thereby greatly. I was thus successful by reason of that which it caused me to do. I was distinguished by its guidance." Many believed that the Ka was an oracle from God and everybody. Many believed that they were to spend eternity in gladness of heart in the favor of the God that is in you. Every race of evolving earth mortals has a word equivalent to the concept of soul. Many primitive peoples believed the soul looked out upon the world through human eyes. Therefore, did they so cravenly fear the malevolence of the evil eye. They have long believed that the spirit of man is the lamp of the Lord. The Rig Veda says, "My mind speaks to my heart." I wish it were possible for me to help evolving mortals to achieve a better understanding and attain a fuller appreciation of the unselfish and superb work of the adjusters living within them, who are so devoutly faithful to the task of fostering man's spiritual welfare. These monitors are efficient ministers to the higher phases of men's minds. They are wise and experienced manipulators of the spiritual potential of the human intellect. These heavenly helpers are dedicated to the stupendous task of guiding you safely inward and upward to the celestial haven of happiness. These tireless toilers are consecrated to the future personification of the triumph of divine truth in your life everlasting. They are the watchful workers who pilot the God-conscious human mind away from the shoals of evil while expertly guiding the evolving soul of man towards the divine harbors of perfection on far distant and eternal shores. The adjusters are loving leaders, your safe and sure guides through dark and uncertain mazes of your short earthly career. They are the patient teachers who so constantly urge their subjects forward in the path of progressive perfection. They are the careful custodians of the sublime values of creature character. I wish you could love them more, cooperate with them more fully, and cherish them more affectionately. Though there are diverse opinions regarding the mode of the bestowal of the thought adjusters, there exist no differences concerning their origin. All are agreed that they proceed directly from the Universal Father. They are not created beings. They are fragmentized entities constituting the factual presence of the infinite God. Together with their many unrevealed associates, the adjusters are undiluted and unmixed divinity, unqualified and unattenuated parts of deity. They are of God, and as far as we are able to discern, they are God. Damn. So you have a piece of God living inside of you. That's what's inside the container. As to the time of their beginning separate existences apart from the absoluteness of the first source and center, we do not know. Neither do we know their number. We know very little concerning their careers until they arrive on planets of time to indwell human minds. What's the container holding? There is a characteristic light, a spirit luminosity which accompanies this divine presence, and which has become generally associated with the thought adjusters. In the universe of Nebadon, our local universe sector, this paradise luminosity is widespreadly known as the pilot light. On Uversa, it's called the light of life. And on your planet, planet Earth, this phenomena has sometimes been referred to as that true light which lights every man who comes into the world. Recognize that? That's from the Bible. Oh, we got that light within us. They volunteer to indwell human beings. They lay plans for man's eternal career. They adapt, modify, and substitute in accordance with circumstances. And these activities connote genuine volition. They have affection for mortals. They function in universe crises. They are always waiting to act decisively in accordance with human choice. And all these are highly volitional reactions. Yep. Got like a little light partner inside you. Supreme and self-acting adjusters can leave the human body at will. Whoa. The indwellers are not an organic or biological part of mortal life. They are a divine superimpositions thereon. In the original life plans, they were provided for, but they are not indispensable to material existence. Nevertheless, it should be recorded that they very rarely, even temporarily, leave their mortal tabernacles after once they take up their indwelling. The superacting adjusters are those who have achieved the conquest of their entrusted tasks and only await the dissolution of the material life vehicle, or the translation of the immortal soul. Woo! How's that for what's in the container, baby? According to all these texts, we have a divine fragment within us waiting to be accessed. That's what's inside the containers. That's why we're so valuable. Boom, baby. That's why I love this shit. Hearing Bob Lazar talk about how a top secret classified UFO document on religion says that the ETs look at us like containers, then correlating and synthesizing all the different data points, putting them on the board in order to form a more clear and concise viewpoint on the subject in total. Damn, that's what I'm talking about. Planetary HQ, baby. Okay, sorry, got a little amped up there. Back to business. Where were we? Okay. Save the best for last, right? My personal take on all of this. At Planetary HQ, we pretty much pull pages out of all these different religious, philosophic, scientific, and spiritual books. So if I could just mash up everything that we just talked about, but put it through the Planetary HQ lens, it would go something like this. You are something way more than what you think you are. You are not just an animal that got too smart for its own good. You and your body are in fact a super advanced biotechnology created by ancient creator space gods. And within this biological suit, there is a holographic user interface that uses light pictures or mental images to communicate with the consciousness within. You literally have an ancient, super advanced space light technology pre-installed into your mind. It communicates to you in pictures of light in your mind. And it is trying to guide you back to the source of the universe. But in order to qualify to be in the source's presence, you must complete the trials that the material universe has to offer. It's like a cosmic video game, I guess. The embedded assistant will accompany and guide you with mental pictures if you can establish a clear communication and recognize its companionship. Remember who you are. Rise up and join the legacy of humankind today. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I had a great time researching it. I'm going to be doing a lot more videos like these. I feel like when I sit down, write everything out over a few days, it ensures I can cover topics more fully, and it gives me a chance to make sure I'm not missing any of the minutia and the little connecting details. Like I said before, regardless of the controversy, I love Bob Lazar, so I'm always going to cover what he has to say. Stay tuned because I have another video on the way about this very same clip. We're going to take a deep dive into what Bob claims, that Jesus is a genetically modified incarnate space god. So keep it locked. Hope you guys learned a little something. I'm your host, Deadrick Baker, xDbakeTheWise on Instagram. Tour dates, come check us out. Hang out with Planetary HQ. We will be in Monterey, California, 2026, July 12th through 16th at the Urantia International Conference. We'll be speaking, doing a live podcast, and we'll also be performing our music. So keep it locked. If you're in California, if you live in Monterey, or if you just want to come see us, July 12th through 16th, 2026. Mark it on your calendars. If you haven't hit that subscribe button by now, so you're up to date by all the celestial information, then you're messing up. Bop that button so we can get the video out of this world, and join the Discord if you have any suggestions on video topics. Check out Planetary HQ store. Get yourself a shirt to support the cause. And to all my brothers and sisters, Ad astra de polvo. From the dust to the stars.
Planetary HQ, baby.